بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أنبياء الله جميعا وعلى سيدهم وخاتمهم حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة ويا عبرة كل مؤمن ومؤمنة، يا ليتنا كنا معكم فنفوز فوزا عظيما. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. من عمل صالحا من ذكر أو أنثى وهو مؤمن فلنحيينه حياة طيبة ولنجزينهم أجرهم بأحسن ما كانوا يعملون. Refresh your souls, your minds, your hearts, your sessions with the loud salawat for Muhammadin wa Ali Muhammad. Who's God's favorite gender? Does God favor men or women? And as far as Islam is concerned and the Holy Quran, who is better? And who's closer to God? Does God favor men over women? Or women over men? And are the roles of men and women exactly the same? There are no more differences nowadays between men and women. So a man can assume every role that a woman assumes. And a woman can play exactly the same role that a man plays. And there is no difference between them. Is this the case? These are the type of questions that I'm asked throughout the year, from the young generation, old generation, Muslims, non-Muslims, men, women. These are contentious and heated topics that being discussed, especially nowadays, when this gender issue is surfacing and dominating our societies. People are asking, people are wondering, are there any differences between men and women or not? What does God say about this? God says in His book, and I'm going to cite certain examples from the Holy Quran tonight, inshallah. The relationship between male and female, between men and women, is based on integration. Integration. It's not about racing against each other. It's not about competing against each other. It's rather complementing one another, not competing. And therefore God says, I am genderless. I have no favorite gender. Both of them are important. Both of them I created. Both of them are my servants. Both of them are my sweethearts, provided that they stick to the human and Islamic principles. God says, I don't look at the gender of the person. I look at their deeds. I look at their character. I look at their ikhlas, their dedication. I look at their piety. What is important for me, it's not the sex or the gender. It's the piety and the righteousness of that person. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. And therefore, when it comes to their moral standing, spiritual standing, in the eyes of God, they are equal. Men are not more important than women. Women are not more important or less important than men. No one is above the other. They are equal when it comes to their moral responsibilities, moral standing before God. They are equal. They are equal. Now, there are verses in the Quran that needs reflection. Verses in the Quran that you may read, or you're a friend who could be a non-Muslim. He brings you a verse and he says, how about this verse? We are aware of these verses. And all these verses has right interpretation. And we seek the interpretation of these verses, especially the controversial ones, from the source of explanation, from the source of interpretation, from the source of teaching. And that source, God says, go, when you don't know, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. If you don't know the meaning, go to the expert. And the expert here are Muhammadun wa alu Muhammad alayhi salam. In chapter 3, Surah Al-Imran, in chapter 1, Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah speaks about وَلِلرِّجَالِ عَلَيْهِنَّ دَرَجَةً. Men are 1 degree above women. 1 degree in what? Does that mean they are God's favorite? God makes them superior to men in ranking? No, it's not about superiority or inferiority. God is not speaking about men being above women in ranking. God says they are above women in responsibility. They have bigger responsibility. A husband has bigger responsibility than the wife because he's the one who initiates the family. He's the one who establishes the family. So he's more responsible. The second verse in chapter 4, Surah An-Nisa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah An-Nisa, الرجال قوامون على النساء بما فضل الله بعضهم على بعض. Men are قوامون. What does قوامون mean here? If you go to the right source, if you go to the wrong source, you will be in trouble. You'll be confused. You'll be confused. But if you go to the right source, the source of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, they tell you the meaning in this context. The meaning قوامون, قوامة, means more responsibility, more commitment. So men are the caretakers of women in the family. When it comes to the family, the institution of family, men are the defenders, the protectors, the caretakers of women. قوامون على النساء. It does not mean they are in control. It doesn't mean they are dominating the family, controlling the family. It means they have more responsibility towards their families, towards their children. They have bigger responsibility, not just financial responsibility. What is more important than money? They have moral responsibility. As I said last night here, and I say this every night, we are not just breadwinners, my friends. Today, your son who's 15, your daughter who's 16, they can make money outside. It's not about money. Money is part of it, small part of it. It's about leadership. It's about being an example for your family. It's about being a source of inspiration, a source of encouragement for your family. So they have more responsibility. This is how we should read these verses. Another verse in Surah Al-Imran, فَلَمَّا وَضَعَتْهَا قَالَتْ رَبِّ إِنِّي وَضَعْتُهَا أُنْثَى وَلَيْسَ الذَّكَرُ كَالْأُنْثَى وَإِنِّي سَمَّيْتُهَا مَرْيَمَ وَإِنِّي أُعِيذُهَا وَذُرِّيَّتَهَا بِكَ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. The mother of Mary, Mary is the mother of Jesus. Her mother Hannah, she made a vow. If she gets pregnant And if she delivers the baby, she's going to make that baby, she assumed that she's going to have a baby boy, and that baby boy is going to be dedicated to the service of the temple in Jerusalem. She said to God, "Oh God, I'm pregnant and I want this baby in my womb to be the servant, the custodian of your house, of your temple. إني نذرت لك ما في بطني محررا." Nadhr, a vow. She made a vow. But when she delivered the baby, at that time, they have to wait until the moment of delivery. Now, your wife, she knows the sex, the gender of the baby 7 months before the baby is born, 6 months before he's born. And you choose the name, you choose the color of the furniture, you choose the clothing for that baby 6 months before. At that time, they had to wait until the moment of delivery, and people would be surprised. So she expected a boy, but God had different plan. Different plan. God says, "I know better. I know what is good for you and your family. I know you need boys. You love boys, but sometimes girls are of more benefit to your family. They bring more honor, more credit, more respect, more value to your family than the boys." So she delivered the baby. She said to God, "Male is not like female. A boy is not like a girl." So this is a verse in the Quran. Some opponents say, God is saying a boy is not like a girl. وَلَيْسَ الذَّكَرُ كَالْأُنْثَى. Dhakar, male, is not like female. But what does here mean? Does it mean that boy is better than girl? No. No. In his responsibility, he is not like the female in her responsibility. Both responsibilities are different. She needed a boy to protect the place, to take care of the place, to be the guardian of the place. And that suits the boys more than the girls. This is why she was shocked. But then God said to her, it doesn't matter. Even if she's a female, she can assume this role. So there is a difference in the responsibility, not a difference in the value. Please pay attention to this point. When God says a male is not like a female, He doesn't mean that the male is above and the female is below. And they are in control, they are in charge always, they are better, they are closer to God. No, none of these. God means their responsibilities are different. Both of them are important. No one can say in the eyes of God, male are better than female. Neither female are better than male. No one can say in the eyes of God, the work produced, the contribution produced by male is better than the contribution of females. No. Both of them are important. The atom has protons and neutrons. Which one is more important? The protons or neutrons inside the atom? Both are important. Both are important. In this society on earth, we have male and female. Which one is more important? Both are important. Both are needed. And they integrate each other. God says, هُنَّ لِبَاسٌ لَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ لِبَاسٌ لَهُنْ. Every male needs a female, has a protection. We cannot function. We men cannot function without women, cannot live without women, cannot excel, cannot produce, cannot give, cannot work without the existence of women. And women, it's the same. They cannot give fully without a man in her life. Sometimes this man is her father when she's still single, her brother, and after marriage is her husband and her son. We both need each other. It's a relationship of integration. There is no clash between them. No clash. There is no competition. There is no race between them. Now, here in the West, you hear the voices all the time. not now, since 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago, that women have to liberate themselves from the bondage of men, from this slavery, the slavery of the family, being at home, cleaning and serving and providing. They need liberation. If they need to excel, they need to liberate themselves from the bondage of their husbands and their families. Leave your kids at home. Go to work. Your work is more important. Your career is more important. Your profession is more important than your family and your kids. This is what you hear. In the name of equality. In the name of equality of the men and women, they encourage women to leave their homes, to abandon their kids, sometimes not even to conceive or deliver a baby. Stay, you don't need kids. Serve yourself, take care of yourself, take care of your body. Stay young, stay fresh. Go about your hobbies, your dreams, your job, make money. This is what they tell them. Take care of your body. The money that you generate, spend it on your face, your breast, your body, your front, your back, your up, your down, plastic surgeries. This is how they tell them. This is how they tell them. Don't stay at home. Don't be deceived by your husband, by your father, by your priest, your pastor, your imam. Don't listen to them. Liberate yourself. Liberation. Enjoy life. This is what they tell them. There is a book written by a non-Muslim. In fact, he's a Russian. Many of you from Afghanistan, you remember this name. The older generation, the young generation, they don't know this name. But the older generation, they remember this name. Do you remember the name Mikhail Gorbachev? You remember this name. Mikhail Gorbachev was the last president before the disintegration of the Soviet Union. He wrote a book, and a very important book, Prostraika. He says in his book, the reason for the disintegration of the family, of the system of family in the Soviet Union, the main reason of the disintegration of the system of the family in the Soviet Union was the absence of women from their homes. Because we, the Soviet leaders, we kept telling them, you have to go to the factory. Leave your home. Don't make children. Even if you have kids, abandon them. Leave them. Go to the factory. We need you in the factories. And he says, when women left their families, abandoned their kids, especially young women. Now sometimes there are women in their 60s and 70s and less or more. Their kids are grown up. Their kids are grown up. Their kids are independent. They don't need the mother. But when a mother has little kids, 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, this is a very critical time. The child should not be abandoned because the mother is making more money. Nowadays, working mothers, they pay a nanny half of her salary, sometimes more than half of her salary. So she enjoys the environment in the office, and a stranger, a nanny who does not even speak the language, she does not share the customs or the culture or the religion. She's the one who's raising the children. Gorbachev said, this is a disaster. This has created a disaster. This has created imbalance and disorder in our society. This was the reason we had the highest rate of crime. He's saying this 40 years ago, not now. And then he draws a parallel. He says there is a correlation between women leaving home and the rate of the crime. The more mothers leave their homes and abandon their kids and they go to work, the more we see an increase in the level of the crime outside. He says this is the reason. Therefore, he says we have to encourage women to go back home. We put them in the wrong place. We deprive the children from their mother's affection and mother's love and mother's attention. He says this is a crime. He's not a Muslim. He's not an Afghan. He's not an Arab. He's a Russian. He's a non-Muslim. But he says exactly what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says. Sisters, listen to me please. Islam is not against women working. Islam is not against women excelling. Islam is not against women going to school, even pursuing their highest and higher education. Islam is not against women working in the political field, economic field, social field, educational field. Islam wants them to excel. Islam wants them to play a leadership role in the society. And we have examples of that from our own religion and our own history. An example of that is Lady Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. She was a daughter, a good daughter to her father. Ummu Abiha. The father says, this is my mother. To me, she's my mother. To me, this lady, young Fatima, is my mother. She was the best wife to Ali ibn Abi Talib. She was the best mother to Imam Hassan and Hussein and Zainab and Kulthum alayhim salam. And she was the best citizen and member of her community. And she was a mentor, she was a teacher to women. She assumed all these roles. The Prophet did not say to her, no, Fatima, stay at home, take care of your kids, don't leave the home. In fact, the one who advocated the case of Imam Ali alayhi salam after hijacking the Khilafah from Amir al-Mu'mineen, after the death of the Prophet, was his wife Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. She was mobilizing the community in Medina. She came to the mosque of the Prophet. She gave a speech on the pulpit of her father, and thousands of Muslims are listening to her. She was a political leader. She was an advocate of justice and peace. So Islam is not a hindrance. Islam is not the Islam of Taliban who say women should not go to work, women should not go to school, women should stay indoors. This is a Taliban version. This is not Ahlul Bayt version, by the way. We follow the version of Ahlul Bayt. We follow the Islam of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and his family. And therefore, our jurists, our fuqaha, our maraji', our ulama, our scholars, they advocate women's right. They say she has the right to be the president of the country, the prime minister of the country, in the cabinet of the country, in the judiciary system, in the political system. She can be a judge. She can be a governor. She can assume these roles. Nothing is forbidden, provided that, listen to this, provided that she maintains her chastity and her dignity and her values. Do not compromise your values. In a country like France, who lost today, in that country, when they tell you remove your scarf, we give you this job, tell them no. My scarf is my religious identity. I am doing this not for the sake of job, not for the sake of my husband or my father or my community. I am doing this for the sake of God, period. As long as she does not compromise her principles and her Islamic values and human values, and she maintains her chastity, her dignity, her value, then she can be in any position today. In any position. This is the real equality. Whereas in the West, they speak about equality between men and women. They've been speaking for several decades. But most of it, it's an empty talk. Baloney. It's not right. I tell you how it's not right, my friends. Here in the job market, 80% of lower ranking jobs, humble jobs, are given to women. Women, when they work here, 80% of them, they work in lower ranking jobs, insignificant jobs. Only 8% of them in America, only 8% of American women, they work in prestigious jobs. Only 8%. 80% of them, lower ranking. This is not equality. This is not equality. Not too far from here in Washington, D.C., in the Congress, this is the highest number of women in this Congress. What is the percentage of women in the American Congress versus men? Do you know? 29%. This is not equality. If we speak about equality, it has to be 50%. What is the number of the women in the Senate, American Senate? 25%. It should be 50%. America is not ready to have a female president. If you speak about equality and both of them are equal and both of them are important, why don't you elect a female for this post? America is not ready for that. After 300 years, they are not ready for that. And when we had a vice president, Kamala Harris, the reason why we had her, because of Me Too movement, because of Black Lives Matter movement, they appointed her. Not because of her qualification, not because she's competent, not because she respected women, not because women are half of the society, not because men and women are equal. They had to. They were embarrassed, and they said to Biden, if you don't, the black community in America, the women community in America, they said this to Joseph Biden, if you don't elect her on your ticket as your running mate, we are not going to elect you. We are not going to vote for you. He was embarrassed. He was forced. So there is no real equality. This is only politics. And even when it comes to wages, my friends, many of you are in the job market. Do you know, when a man and women, they do exactly the same job, exactly the same, women receive less wages than men. Less wages than men. Go and check it out. They do exactly the same role, the same job, but women receive less. Even in Hollywood, there are surveys and studies, women receive less than men. This is not equality. This is not equality. Now we have a problem today. The problem of gender here. In the past, my friends, the role of men and role of women were very clear. They don't overlap. A man knows his role. 50 years ago, 60 years ago, they both knew their job and their role. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when he was putting the hand of Lady Fatima in the hand of Imam Ali, and he said to him, Ali, Ya Ali, hadihi wadi'ati indak. This is amana, trust. My precious daughter Fatima, my sweetheart Fatima, the jewel of the family Fatima is a trust with you, Ali. Take care of her. And then he said to them, let me counsel both of you. This is what every father should do at the time of marriage with his daughter and his son. We must counsel them. He said to them, what is outside the house, whatever is outside the house is Ali's responsibility. Whatever is inside the house is Fatima's responsibility. However, Ali, sometimes you have to help your wife at home too. I want men to listen to this. I know many of us, we work outside, exhausted, tired, maybe long hours, maybe 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 2 shifts, 3 shifts. We come home, still we have to give, we have to contribute. You have to help your wife, especially when you have several children, when you have extended family. Your role does not end outside the house. Many times the Prophet comes home and he sees Ali helping Lady Fatima preparing the food. He says, Ali, I admire you. This is what every man should do. When you stand next to your wife, you do not abandon her, you help her. So in the past, the role was very clear. But nowadays, there is confusion. Nowadays, women are outside and they do every job, alhamdulillah, and they are good at it. They are good at every job, mashallah. They are excelling, they are very successful. They are, in many occasions, they are independent. They are independent, they are a professional, they are excellent, they are able, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And we have to be proud of them. If you have a daughter which is a professional, which is independent, which is capable, you have to be proud of her. You have to encourage her, no doubt about it. But my friends and my sisters, I want you to listen to this. If you are a young mother and you still have little kids at home, do not put your profession before your family. Do not put your career before your family. In Islam, we have aham and muhim. We have important and we have more important. And the more important comes first. Your profession could be important, but your family is more important. Therefore, you have to put the interest, the welfare, the well-being of your family first before your profession. I know in some families, I know very well in this country, both have to work. Both husbands and wife have to work to make ends meet. It's difficult with the inflation in places like New Jersey, California, other states. Both have to work. But if you don't need to work and your husband is bringing enough, then focus on your kids. This is your priority. Your priority are your little kids. Do not abandon them. I tell you why. If you abandon them, there is a side effect. What are the side effects? The side effects, number one, it will affect the mental and physical and psychological health of your children when you abandon them. Even if you bring the best nanny in town and you give her the best money, she would not replace you. Impossible for a nanny to replace the mother. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, In ummahatuhum illa allati waladnahum. The biological mother is the real mother. The biological mother. Not a surrogate mother, not the nanny, not the one you pay her money and tell her, take care of my home and my kids. No. Only the mother can take real care. In another verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالْوَالِدَاتُ يُرْضِعْنَ أَوْلَادَهُنَّ حَوْلَيْنِ كَامِلَيْنِ لِمَنْ أَرَادَ أَنْ يُتِمَّ الرِّضَاعَةِ. It is the mothers who nurse their babies. Rida'a means nursing from her breast. She's not giving a mother who's nursing her baby from her own breast. She's not only providing him with milk and food. She's providing him with manners, with adab, with akhlaq, with values, with love, with affection, with care. Studies show that by the passing of the time, moral values are on decline. They say if you look at kids now and you compare them to kids 50 years ago, you will see a difference. What is the difference between the kids 50 years ago, back in the 60s, 70s, 50s, and now? The difference is that kids today are raised in a way that they have less affection and less love and less emotions towards the society, towards their families. They are distant from their parents. When it comes to birrul walidain, being dutiful to their parents, they have less interest in that. They have less love. And they tell you, look at the rate of the crime. 50 years ago, you could walk in the middle of Manhattan, not far from here, with peace of mind. Nowadays, it's dangerous. In many neighborhoods in America, it's dangerous to walk in the evening, whether you are male or female. It's dangerous. They tell you this is the result. When women, and I hope women are listening now, when they abandon their responsibilities, abandon their kids, they do not spend time with them, they do not nurse them from their own breast, from their own milk, and they assign them completely to a nanny, stranger nanny, that child is not going to enjoy the meaning of affection and love and care. He's going to grow careless. He's going to grow loveless. And that leads into the rise of the rate of the crime. Studies show that if you go to the prison here, to a jail in America, and there is almost here right now in America, 2 million people behind bars. 2 million people. If you interview them, you will find out that many of them come from broken families. Many of them tell you, my mother abandoned me. And sometimes my father abandoned me. I didn't experience love. I did not experience affection. I did not experience a warm heart to take care of me. I was worried. I was anxious. I was depressed. I was sad. I was lost. I was looking for a beautiful heart to take care of me. I was abandoned. I was thrown away. And the reason, because the mothers, they left them, they abandoned them. So this is one of the side effects. This is one of the side effects. They found in a hospital after a war in Germany, there were kids being abandoned, little kids, infants, just like Gaza today. Gaza now, there are thousands of infants, few months old, who lost their parents, who lost their mothers, and thousands of mothers who lost their babies. So they would take these little kids to a hospital to take care of them. They found out that the child that was touched, physically touched by a mother or an aunt or a male or a female, those who are touched physically, they survive, they don't die. But those who have no one to touch them, they die faster. This is a miracle. This is why God says a mother should nurse her baby. When the face of the baby touches his mother's chest, the love is being transferred, the affection, the peace is being transferred. It's not only milk, my friends. Milk is found outside. But this love and this affection is not found outside. Pay attention to this. The more time you as a mother, young mother who has young babies, the more time you spend with your kids, the healthier they become, the stronger they become. They would have developed more self-respect and more self-confidence. And I can see this. We can see it right before our eyes. I've seen two types of women. One of them, she cares about her baby 24/7. That baby is intelligent, is sharp, has self-confidence. Whereas another one was abandoned by his mother. The mother is always busy, always in the mall. Whenever you ask about her, where is she? In this mall, in that mall, in this market, in this bridal shower, in this birthday party, in this wedding, in the, mashallah, everywhere. The babies are abandoned. The babies have deficiency. Sometimes mental deficiency, sometimes physical deficiency. So this is one point. The second point about the side effects. As I said, sisters, I'm not saying don't go to work. Don't tell your husband that I'm not going to work because Sayyid tonight said no. No, go to work. But I am telling you, if you are young, again, if you are young, and if you have little kids at home, still at home, and you don't have a mother, a sister to help you out, you have to be there. This is your priority. Until they are grown, then you can go to the job market. You are free. But if you have kids at home, they need you. They need you. The second reason, or the second side effects of women abandoning their families and working outside is what? Women are not equipped to work outside. Women are not equipped for heavy duty responsibilities. They're going to get frustrated. They're going to get exhausted faster than men. Job is demanding for both. Job is exhausting for both men and women. But women, when they work outside, when they have bigger responsibilities, they get exhausted and tired faster than men. Because God did not program them for these heavy duties. God said, I want you to be a teacher, protector of your children and your family, inside the house, not outside the house. God does not want women to be breadwinners, my friends. They should not be breadwinners. If there is no necessity for that, if a husband can make it by himself, there is no need for her to work outside. She's not a breadwinner. She has a bigger role than being a breadwinner, a more important, a more sacred role. She's the educator, the mentor, the protector of her children and her family. God wants her to play this role, not to be a breadwinner, not to be distracted by her job. And God wants the man to be the breadwinner. This is his responsibility, to be a good father, a good caretaker outside the house. And therefore, if you speak to some single mothers who are assuming both roles, the role of a mother and the role of a father, they tell you we are tired. My kids, they need a father figure, a male figure. Though she's very good, she's excellent, she's competent, she's taking care of her family. But she tells you at the end of the day, my kids, they miss a father figure, a male figure. They need a male figure in their life. And I cannot do the job. I cannot fill this void because God did not program me for this. My role is different. This is why God created male and female. Let me ask you this question. Would it be difficult for God or impossible to create the entire mankind on earth as females? Would it be impossible for him? I'm asking, is it yes or no? No. He can create all of us females, or the entire mankind and humanity as males. Why didn't he do so? Why did he divide us into male and female? For a reason. Because he says, I want men to integrate women, and I want women to complement men, because they are in need to each other. هُنَّ لِبَاسٌ لَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ لِبَاسٌ لَهُمْ. Every man in this life, at whatever age he is, he needs a female in his life. To continue his journey, he needs the love, the affection of a female in his life. Every female, no matter how able and rich, influential, strong, powerful she is, she needs a man in her life. She needs the protection of the man in her life. We need each other. This is how God designed this life. This is how we continue our journey in this life. For those who advocate transgender, and they say it's okay, it's okay for you if you feel you are a female inside, you can change your gender. Go for a surgery, be a female. Okay, you go for a surgery. You change a few things here or there. But how about your soul? Are you going to change your soul? They forgot an important point. We are not, men and women are not just different biologically and physically and physiologically and psychologically. They are different emotionally and morally too. The emotion of women is different from the emotion of men. The morals of women are different from men's morals. We are different in our emotions. God made women the center of love in this universe. She is the personification of affection and atifa and emotion and love and care and forgiveness. He did not give these things to men. He gave men something else. So if this transgender, if this operation is going to change some organs here or there, are they going to change their soul, their emotions too? Impossible. Impossible. Each one has his own. Each gender, God has given him what he or she needs in this life. Let's not tamper with God's creation. Let's not tamper with God's creation. Allah knows that there are men who have to be fathers, play the role of a father. Women, they would become mothers, and they have another important role. And they integrate. When they work together, cooperate, they respect each other, they know their boundaries. They do not transgress against each other, as the Quran says in Surah Al-Rahman. This is a metaphor about Imam Ali and Fatima al-Zahra. مرج البحرين يلتقيان بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان. God gives this parable in the Quran. Applies to Imam Ali and Fatima al-Zahra. Two seas, they merge into each other, but they do not transgress against each other. Two seas. يخرج منهما اللؤلؤ والمرجان. لؤلؤ, pearl, and marjan, meaning Al-Hasan wal-Husayn alayhim as-salam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala. They merge together. This is how they build the community. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam, according to the Holy Quran, Adam was created first, then followed by Eve. So there were maybe few seconds, few minutes between the creation of Adam and Eve. So Adam came first. He was created first. When he came into this life, when God created him, he felt lonely. He felt desolate and lonely. As soon as God created Eve for him, Hawa, and Allah said, look at your partner. Look at your other half. Look at her. Adam looked at Hawa. He said, oh Lord, who's she? I was worried. I was anxious. I was sad. I was lonely. The moment I looked at her, all these things went away. I am happy. I feel at peace. Allah said to him, this is your other half. This is your partner. This is the one who can journey through this life with you. This is the one who is going to help you, protect you, support you, be with you. This is the meaning of marriage, my friends. Your wife is not just cooking food for you and washing your clothes. She's your other half. We have to appreciate that. And as I said last night, if you have a good wife, if you have a good husband, give thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every single day. Every single day. When you open your eyes in the morning and your partner is next to you, your family is next to you, you are not filing for divorce, you are not in the court, you are not dividing your property into two halves, you are not separated, you are not arguing, you are not in conflict with each other, you communicate with each other, you relate to each other, you understand each other, you respect each other, give thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Give thanks. This is the biggest gift. This is the biggest gift, a stable family. And let me conclude by saying, each gender that God created has his own roles and responsibilities. For me, if you ask me, I would be more comfortable having a nurse as a female, even a teacher as a female, even a principal of a school as a female. Why? Because we need her affection. We need her atifa. We need her emotions. We need her love. We need her care. We need her feminism. We need it in this area. Whereas if you speak about a soldier in the army, I tell you no. We need a male. Street sweeper in the street, we need a male. For these jobs, tough jobs where it requires muscles, we need men. We don't need females. Each one God created for them their own field, their own interest, their own role. They should not overlap. They should not intertwist with each other. We should not disturb the peace of the society. I am worried about what is happening in public school in America. I am worried about what is happening on social media. I'm worried about what is happening in the streets of America. God says if we intend to destroy a country, if I intend to destroy a culture, a country, a community, وإذا أردنا أن نهلك قرية أمرنا مترفيها ففسقوا فيها فحق عليها القول فدمرناها تدميرا. I would allow them to tamper with my creation, to tamper with my creation, to tamper with my order, to tamper with my organization, to tamper with my system. Once they start tampering with it, destroying it, then they deserve punishment. We, the Muslim community, have a big role here. Teach your children. Male is a male, female is a female. There is no marriage between two males. No marriage between two females. It is disgusting when a person stands on podium in the government and he's a minister in the cabinet and he says, this is my husband. He's a male, and then he points to another male and he says, this is my husband, and then he kisses him from his mouth. Disgusting. Disgusting. This would not earn us God's blessings. And let me tell you something. We are not against the people. We are against their acts. Even Prophet Lut said to his community, I'm not against you as a human being. I'm against your actions, your misdeeds, your evil behavior. إِنِّي لِعَمَلِكُم مِّنَ الْقَالِينَ. I hate what you do. I don't hate you. You are a human being. I hate what you do. If you stop what you are doing, I'm going to love you. So we don't hate people because they are people. No. We hate what they do because it is disgusting. It's against God's plan. Imam Hussein alayhi salam realized the role of women. This is why he insisted on taking his sister Zainab alayhi salam to Karbala. Otherwise he could have gone by himself. And many people asked him, why do you take Zainab? Why do you take your daughters? Why do you take your other sisters? You know, there were almost 84 women and children in the camp of Imam Hussein. There were almost 80 men or 75 men who was martyred. And there was almost 84 women and children in the camp of Imam Hussein. A huge number. Many people said to him, Ya Aba Abdullah, why do you take women with you? He said, because they have a role. Zainab has a role in Karbala. When I fall down, Zainab is going to stand. And this is exactly what Lady Zainab did. She lived up to her responsibility, to her role. Imam Hussein did something, took care of something, and Zainab took care of something else. And they integrated. They did not clash with each other. They integrated each other. The role of Zainab started from the day Ashura. The day of Ashura, when Imam Hussein in the afternoon, he fell down. From that second, from that moment, Zainab started her role. And she was very successful in executing her role. On the second day of Muharram, the caravan of Imam Hussein reached the land of Karbala. 2nd of Muharram, year 61, Hijri. Imam Hussein left Medina to Mecca. In Mecca he stayed for 120 days, almost 4 months. While he was staying in Mecca, he received the invitations and the letters from the people of Iraq, mostly the people of Kufa and other areas. O the son of the Prophet, we are ready to support you. We are ready to receive you. Please come to us. We are ready. We are ready to fight the corrupt system of Bani Umayyah. So he received many delegates, many letters of invitation. So he decided to leave Mecca on the 8th day of the Hijjah. 8th day of the Hijjah, the people in Mecca, they go to Mina, Yawm al-Tarwiyah. In Mina, they sacrifice sheep. Imam Hussein, they sacrificed sheep. Imam Hussein decided to go to Karbala to sacrifice himself to protect Islam. This is the difference. So he took off on the 8th of the Hijjah. The distance between Mecca and Karbala is 1470 kilometers. At an average of 64 kilometers per day, the caravan of Imam Hussein journeyed for 23 days from Mecca until it reached Karbala. And Imam Hussein stopped in 38 villages and resting stations. And in these resting stations and villages, some people would hear about his movement, so they joined him. Among them, I will mention some of these names tomorrow, the night of the Ashab, the companions, inshallah, who decided to join Imam Hussein on his journey to Karbala. So when he reached on the 2nd of Muharram, just before he entered Karbala, he was heading to Kufa. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, the ruthless tyrant, the governor of Kufa, appointed by Muawiyah and Yazid, his son, Yazid ibn Muawiyah, he sent Al-Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi to intercept the caravan of Imam Hussein. And he gave him an order: once you see Hussein, capture him, handcuff him, bring him to me. Bring him before me in Kufa. But Hur was a free man, a man of magnanimity, a man of chivalry, a man who believed in justice and freedom, a man who believed in the truth, a man who believed in Muhammad wa ali Muhammad alayhi wasallam. So when he intercepted Imam Hussein, there was a deliberation and discussion between them. He said to him, Ya ibn Rasulullah, I'm a military commander. I receive orders. So I have to capture you. Imam Hussein said, you cannot capture me. Impossible. I will not surrender to Yazid. He said, then Ya ibn Rasulullah, let's reach a middle solution. You would not go to Kufa. You don't continue your journey to Kufa. And I would not capture you. I would set you free. But to promise me not to go to Kufa. Let's make a deal. Imam said, okay, let's make a deal. So Imam decided not to continue to Kufa. This is the divine work in a progress. The plan of God. Everything is the plan of God. Imam Hussein is executing the plan of God. The roadmap of God. So Al-Hur left Imam Hussein free with 1,000 of his fighters. Imam Hussein turned to his companions. He said, Ashabi, man minkum ya'rifu hadhihi al-ard? Which one of you knows the territory, the geography of this territory very well? Among them was At-Tarimmah ibn Adi al-Ta'i. He was a cameleer. A cameleer means a camel driver in the desert. So he knows the desert very well. He knows the directions. He knows the destinations. He said, Ana ibn Rasulullah. I am familiar. I am from this area. I know this desert very well. Imam Hussein said to him, then take us through a diversion, another road that does not lead into Kufa. He said, I know the road. do you allow me to lead the caravan? Imam Hussein said, yes, you are allowed to lead the caravan. And the cameleer at that time, they had to cheer and chant for their camels to inspire them to walk faster. So At-Talimmah started to chant for his camels. يا ناقتي لا تذعري من زجري وشمري قبل طلوع الفجر بخير ركبان وخير سفر آل رسول الله آل الفخر. Oh my camels, do not be worried about my chanting. I want you to move faster and walk faster before the break of the dawn, because we are carrying best riders with us and we are going to the best destination. And those riders are Ali Rasulullah, the family of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. بخير ركبان وخير سفر آل رسول الله آل الفخر السادة البيض وجوه الزهر حتى تحلي بكريم النجر يا مالك النفع معا والضر أيد حسينا سيدي ابن نصر. Oh Allah, who controls the benefit and the harm, I plead to you to bestow support and victory on my master Hussein alayhi salam. So the caravan was moving and moving and moving until they reached a point where the horse of Imam Hussein came to a complete halt. The horse did not move. They tried to move the horse. Some historians say Imam Hussein kept changing the horses from 1 into 2 into 3 into 4. None of them would move. Again, my friends, the work of God is in progress, the plan of God. Allah wants Imam Hussein to be in that land. So when the horse did not move, Imam Hussein turned to his companions. He said, Ashabi, masmu hadhihi al-ard. What is the name of this land? Some of them said, Ya Aba Abdullah, the name of this land is Al-Ghadariyat. He said, does it have another name? They said, yes. Another name is Nainawa. He said, does it have a third name? They said, yes. The third name is Shati'ul Furat, the banks of the Euphrates. He said, does it have another name? One of them said, Yabna Rasulullah. The other name is Karbala. Imam Hussein said, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar ashabi, ha huna mahattu rihalina. This is exactly where we should camp, on this very land, on the land of Karbala. Ha huna tuqtalu rijaluna wa tudhbahu atfaluna wa tusba nisauna. On this very land our men will be slain. Our children are going to be slaughtered, and our sisters and daughters are going to be taken captives on this land of Karbala. So they camped on this land, and Imam Hussein immediately approached Bani Asad, the tribe who owned that land, and he purchased that vicinity, that piece of land, for 4,000 dinars from Bani Asad, because he knew this is his resting place. The land of Karbala is owned by Imam Hussein. So when you go to Karbala, the reason you find peace when you go on Arba'in and other visits, because you are entering the property of Imam Hussein, the home of Imam Hussein, which was purchased 1400 years ago. The land is owned by Imam Hussein. So they lived for only 9 days in that land. They camped there. But these days were the most beautiful days. The family got together. Imam Hussein was there, the head of the family. His brother Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, his nephew al-Qasim, his son Ali al-Akbar, the brothers of al-Abbas, and many others, many companions. This is why Zainab alayhi salam, she enjoyed her most beautiful days during these 9 months, from the 2nd of Muharram until the 11th of Muharram. But mu'mineen, عظم الله أجوركم. On the day of 11th Muharram, when they took the caravan, Lady Zainab, before that she was in peace because she was flanked by Al-Abbas. Whenever she gets worried, Al-Abbas is there. Whenever she's unhappy, Al-Qasim is there. Ali al-Akbar is there. She was assured, she was composed and calm. But on the 11th of Muharram, when they asked the caravan to go to Kufa, Lady Zainab, she stood and she looked left and right. None of her men, none of her brothers, none of her children were there to support her, to protect her, to walk with her caravan. She cried, Akhi, Aba Abdullah, we are deserted, we left alone, we are abandoned. I don't want to leave your body. I want to stay here in this desert with your body, Ya Aba Abdullah. But I apologize to you because I have no choice. I am being forced to move out of Karbala. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم اجعل كلمة الإسلام هي العليا وكلمة أعداء الله هي السفلى. Oh Allah, bring your victory on the people of Lebanon and Palestine and Gaza and Afghanistan and Yemen and all the mu'mineen who are resisting, who are fighting for your cause in your name, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Oh Allah, bestow health and recovery on all the mu'mineen who are bedridden, whether they are in hospitals or at home. Bestow your recovery, your shifa, complete shifa on them, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات والشهداء ثواب الفاتحة مع الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.